Hey guys, welcome. It's Marcy, the Cranky Crafter. It's Fodder Friday, and this week we're going to do something really fun. It's got a little bit of bits and pieces to it, so it's not hard. It just has a little bit of moving parts. So we're going to be doing what I am calling like flower ladies or flower gals. If you guys have a great name for it when we're all done, link put it below, because I'm not really set on the name. But what I have to say is that I'm taking all of my inspiration for part of it. Does that make sense? I'm taking inspiration from part of this project from Tiffany Simply Sharp, and I'll link her information below. She does amazing watercolor work. She does lots of other things too, but amazing watercolor work. And she actually does classes that they're online classes through Teachable, I think. And I'll link all the information. So if that's wrong, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure that that's right. But she does these amazing online classes, and she does flowers and what else did she do? Butterflies, and I think like apples and maybe coffee mugs, and I don't even know what all she has in her class line up there, but I'm gonna put that information below and you can go and check it out. I highly recommend taking any of her classes. She's a great teacher. She really explains things very thoroughly and easily understandable. So yeah, I would definitely recommend checking out something that she has done. And she's on social media as well. I know she's on Instagram, and she's on Facebook, and I think she is on YouTube, but not as much as some of the other platforms. But I did reach out to her and make sure that it was okay that I shared what I'm going to be sharing. Of course, I in no way want to take anything from any other artist, because we all work very hard to make the things that we make, and so it's always extremely important to give credit where credit is due. But without further ado, we are going to be making these little guys today, and we're basically going to be making the flower heads, if you will, and then turning them into the little ladies. When I saw these flowers on her social media, I even before I took the course, for some reason, all I could see was faces, like hair and little faces, and so I'm like, let's add a dress. I guess you don't need to use a dress. You could make whatever kind of clothes you want, but that was what came to me in my head. So we're basically going to make the flower heads, and then we come through and add the little faces, and then the little dresses, which are simply just collage papers. You could make them specifically for this project, but if you're like me, you have a bajillion collage papers in your stash, and you can really embellish these however you want. So like you'll see with this one, I kind of put a little bit of sari string. I just kind of twisted it all around until it made almost kind of a little ball, and then I glued it on for like a little flower in her hair. I've also done something like this. She's missing her dress, of course. She's not naked because she doesn't have any other parts yet. But I used these little glue-on jewels. These specific ones are actually for nails. My girlfriend, Stacy, she's got a ton of stuff that has to do with manicures and nails and Color Street and all that stuff. And she at one point had sent me a little container of these little flat back jewels. I never used them for that, but I kept them anyway because I'm like, I bet I could do something with those in the craft room. And here we go. They do make some that don't need to be glued, that are just like sticky on the back, and I have some of those to the side here, and maybe we'll use some if we have time. But for this project, I'm specifically using my Inktense watercolor pencils. You could also use scribble sticks if you want to. You could also just use watercolors, like your pans or tubes and water. It really is up to you. I like these for this project because, to be honest, the first couple of times that I did this project, I was actually on the go, if you can believe it. I was traveling, and I don't remember now where, but I had my watercolor pencils and I had a little stash of stuff. And that's how these came to fruition for me. And so I'm just going to show you using the pencils because that's what I've done. But if you don't have pencils and you want to use, you know, your pans, you are free to do that. So I've got my watercolor paper, and we're using 90 pound because that is very much easier to cut out. And so what we're going to do is just go. We're going to start. So I'm going to start with green, and we're going to make, let me see if I can show you a scrap something. So I have these that I was just playing around with some time ago, but we're just going to start by making the little head, if you will. And you're essentially just going to make it, you know, whatever size you want. Maybe you want little gals, maybe you want bigger gals. Right now we're just going to be using the pencils, and then we'll, oh my goodness, and then we'll come in with the water. So oftentimes I'll kind of come in with another color. What is this one? Teal green. And just color it in the spot along with the other green. And then, let's see, how do we want to do this? And then I'm going to come in with the actual, if you're making them as flowers, I guess it would be the petals, but I'm going to refer to it as the hair. And so I just kind of make little curly bits, if you will. And like everything, you can do these in whatever colorway you want. Whatever speaks to you at the time. Okay, so I have a brush, not that brush. I have my size 8 round brush and a little pot of water over here. You can use also one of these little watercolor brushes that has the water in the handle, and these are great if you're traveling, and I have used these. I don't find myself using them as often because I don't feel like I have as good of control over the water as I do when I'm using a traditional brush. But listen, if you like it and it works for you, you do it. So now, when you have your little flower all made, you're just going to come in with some water on your brush. Don't want a ton, so you know, you don't want it to pool, but just kind of get some water in your brush, maybe wipe it off on the edge of your container a little, and then you're just going to come in and basically activate those watercolor pencils. And something to take of note is that what I have found is that when you use the pencils, as you're activating it, your shape of whatever you've made is going to get a little bit bigger than what you started. So just keep that in the back of your mind so that you have left yourself space. Now for this part, I find it easier to turn my paper upside down. You don't have to, but I find this bit a little bit easier to do that way. And you're essentially just doing the same thing. You're activating your colors. And I'm kind of pressing down and using the belly of my brush, which is like this larger part. So I refer to this as the point, and then this is the belly. And I kind of am just pressing down and using that to get the paint to move around. If you want to get some of the colors to merge, you can do that. But know that in order to do that, you need to make sure that everything is still wet. And I've said this before, in the desert, that doesn't always take place very easily. And then what I like to do with pencil specifically is kind of come back in. So I use this fuchsia as the hair, and I let, while it's still damp, which is a great thing about these pencils, I kind of just like to come back in and do some marks, and it really adds so much vibrancy to it. You don't have to do that. If you wanted to leave it more muted, that's totally fine too. But that's just something that I enjoy doing. And the same with this, if you wanted to do it. And then really, you just come along and make a whole line of them the way that, you know, the colors that you would like. I have just the 12 count of pencils, so I don't have a ton of colors, to be honest with you, to choose from. And quite frankly, I find that sometimes nice because then I don't, you know, I don't have lots of things to have to choose from that way. So I feel like we'll make a few of these and then move on to the actual construction, because otherwise this video is going to take ages. And then I turn this around. Again, you don't have to do that. You can also do this after your paint has dried. There's no, rules. I just like the vibrancy that it adds. If you did it while it was dry, it wouldn't be quite so bright, but you would get a different, let me see if I can show you. Like on this yellow and orange one, you would get a different look to it when it was dry. It's all about personal preference, I think. And for the little faces, you can make them, more oval, more round. You could probably come up with different hair styles if you wanted. Get creative. That's what this is all about. I have done it before with the scribble sticks, and it does work really well too. But they aren't, the colors, what am I trying to say? Since they're solid too when you start with, I don't find them to move around as well as the watercolor pencils, if that makes sense. If you wanted to, the nice thing about the pencil is you can take your wet brush and you can kind of just rub over it, and that's going to give you paint on your brush, and it allows you to drop in color. You could do, splatters if you wanted. This one has some splatters. You can get crazy, with your, crazy is probably a strong word, but you can, the possibilities are endless of what colors that you drop in, and add to make it how you want it. Okay. So I'm going to dry these. Actually, I'm not going to do that yet. I just made that up. I want to do one of these sparkly ones. I've got my metallic paints from MAB watercolors out, and I wanted to do a green one, like do a face that was sparkly and see how that turned out. Maybe we might not like it. Okay, but we do, because look at that. How can you not like that? Can you guys see how sparkly that is? Hopefully you can. And then I said I was only using pencils. Marcy, you just lied. I've grabbed some of this like purpley color. In all honesty, I really just wanted to try my metallic paints. Because I can if I want. Look at that. Is amazing. You can drop in some color. Like this is like a bright pink. Okay, she is fancy. She's fancy. All right, I'm going to dry. Hold, please. Okay, so now we have our heads, or flowers, if you will. If you want the whole thing on how to do these into beautiful actual flowers with stems and everything, go check out Tiffany's Teachable class, because she will show you in a very professional manner, as opposed to how I show you, which is in a cranky crafter manner. Just to clarify. This one, oh my goodness. I can't tell what you can see in the camera because I'm blinded by the light. That's a song, I think. Is that by Phil Collins? Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is add our embellishments to our faces. You remember this handy dandy pin I bought when I went to see my youngest at school? Yeah, wasn't that long ago. It was just for his birthday. It's already doesn't work. Garbage. So I've gone back to my favorite, but here's the thing. They didn't have 0.2s. They only had 0.1s. So we're going to try it. We're going to make it work. I was with my girlfriend, and she very generously took me to an art store. And yeah, they had every size except for the 0.2, which is, as you know, I'm partial to. But we have the 0.1, and we're just going to do it because that's where we're at. So like everything, I kind of come in and outline, and I like that to be kind of like wobbly, if you will. If you don't like it wobbly, do it completely straight. I just tend to like the looseness of how that looks. But you do you, boo. Oh my goodness, this one is, I love this one. Something else you could do, if you don't have a black pen and you have, you know, pencils, and this part doesn't even have to be watercolor, if you just have regular colored pencils, you can use that as your outline. There's no rules. Do it however you want. Okay, and then we come in with our faces. And again, this part is, you know, up to you. Look at this lady. I don't know, first glance, she looks a little bit mad. But then you have this one who's like happy. She's very happy and excited about something. So you guys, you choose. You choose how you want it. I kind of like the ones with the little eyelashes on the sides. And then for the lips, I don't even know if I can tell you how I draw the lips, because it's just like a sideways 8 maybe. I go bloop, 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 just like, like that. The noises are not required. See, this one got little eyeballs and she's got something to say. You don't have to give them eyelashes. If you're like me in real life, who you can't even hardly tell has eyelashes, it's probably why I'm giving them eyelashes, because I feel like they need them. Okay. Now, what's next? Now we have to cut. Nope. I don't want those. I don't know that we need to do all of these, so we're going to do the sparkly one and the pink one. How about we start with that? You're just going to cut it however close you want to that black line or whatever color your outline is. And then I'm kind of just making, you know, little wavy movements with my scissors while I'm cutting, at least around the flower bit. Whoops. There's that one. Okay, and there's that one. Now, let me grab my, I have this huge manila folder of collage papers. Ivy's in here talking to people across the street. I kind of like that one. And what do we think? Something like that, maybe? These collage papers actually came from the wonderful Michelle with a single L. I'll link her below too. But she makes these and she sells them in her Etsy shop. Now this part you can do a couple of different ways. This one I just simply cut out the shape of like triangular / teardrop. Again, this really is how you want it. But I actually prefer the ones where I tear it. I just like the ragged edge of it. But if you like them cut out, you know, and don't like the ragged edge of the tear, then just cut them out, and that's fine too. Let's see. So this really just comes down to what shape you want her dress to be. Mine kind of is, in my head, is like triangular-ish. So I just start with like that kind of shape, basically. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to get this on camera. And I usually have to adjust this once I put the head on it to make it fit right. So like that's what I cut out. That's what I tore out. And you're going to be gluing the head kind of like that. So if you feel like that's a little bit too thick or, you know, too wide up there, just make it how you think it looks good. This one looks like she has a train on her dress. You go ahead, girl. And then I'll do the same thing on this side. I think I kind of want... I just kind of go for something similar to that shape. And then adjust it if I need it adjusted by ripping off more paper, because, you know, this is a professional. I'm a professional. And then you can put there like that. Okay, so Something else you can do is, let's see, and I kind of like this edition. Can you see like this little neckline that I made for her? You can do that with like contrasting collage paper. You could do it with just white. You could do it with, you know, whatever. But what I basically have done is made this little shape, essentially, if that's what you want to call it. I don't even know which way I had it. But I just traced something along those lines. And I have a rounded one too, if you don't like the pointy bits. The pointy bits kind of remind me of like a leaf. That's why I kind of gravitate towards that one. So I think I will, let's just find something, maybe I'll just make it out of the same just for continuity's sake. I'm just doing this because, you know, TV. Even though we're really not on TV. I'll use a different bit of the paper. And then I'm essentially just tracing. I don't even know if you can see that. I'm essentially just tracing that shape. That one didn't take. And when you go to cut it out, you can adjust, you know, you want it more pointy, you want it less pointy. This is really just a starting point. And if you don't want the collar, don't draw it. Maybe you don't like it, and that's okay too. Maybe we'll do one with and one without so that you can see. So this one feels like it has lots of steps, but once you do a couple of them, it becomes a lot easier. Not like it's at all difficult, but just to, you know, kind of get into a rhythm, it becomes easier. So I'm going to glue on the little leaf bit. Which head did we have on? Did we have that one or did we have this one? No, I think that one went there. And then I'm going to glue on her head. And I put too much glue. Can you see? Yep, that's fine. So essentially, that's what you have. If you feel that your paper, these are super lightweight, but if you wanted some more stability to this, because this is just copy paper, you know, you could go in and glue this whole thing onto like cardstock and then just cut around it. And that would give you, you know, something that was a lot more stable, if that makes sense. I don't mind this at all. In fact, I like the lightweight of this because it's easier when you go to, you know, glue it into your art journal or wherever you're gonna put it. Maybe you're gonna make a card with it, or maybe you're just gonna give it to somebody like that, because why not? You can kind of tilt their heads She's like, bruh, what? What'd you say? That's what I thought. Your gals don't have to be that aggressive if you don't want them to be. Okay. And then let's use a couple of these little gem things. Look, I've got all these that my mother-in-law just recently sent me. How about those would look pretty on her, wouldn't they? How about we use some red ones on this one? Let's see how we can mess this up. These are supposed to have sticky bits on the back of them. I can't speak to how sticky they are. So they may require additional gluing. I don't know. Okay. She's got like a little tiara on. You guys better shut up. How about this green color? Oh boy. Dropped it. Let's just do one on that. Oh, I just had an idea. You could come in and do a flower on a flower. Watch. Let's see if I can make this work. Look at that. All right. I think that's really the extent of it. This one has the little leaf-shaped neckline. You could also use this cut like rounded one if you wanted. You know, put it on some collage paper. Something else that you can do when you go to put this on a whatever you're going to put it on. Let's see if I can show you. I don't want to use that. Just pretend this is cardstock. And pretend that you're going to glue her on there. Okay? This is all pretend right now. You could come in with a Posca pen after you get her all glued on and cut out and everything, and then you're going to glue her on your card or whatever. You could give her little feet, right? Like, you don't have to do this, but you could if you wanted. See? Now she's got little feet. Or you could do legs. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, let's do legs. I don't even know what I'm doing right now. Okay, let's do... Okay, yeah, legs. And then you could put like different colors here. Her legs are kind of far apart. It's fine. It's fine. It's just fine. Look at. You guys better shut up right now. Please tell me you can see that. And then you could have, she could have little legs and shoes. Okay. But she doesn't right now. So this is what we've caught. This is what we've come up with. Look how cute they are. I will put all of the information below to Tiffany's classes and her YouTube channel and all of that. And I think that's it. I really, these, they just make me smile. And there's so many ways that you can add to them. Like this one, for her dress, I actually did 2 layers. So it almost looks like a little pinafore on there. There's no, like, it's endless how you could, you know, make them look and design them. I just think that they're lovely and very whimsical and fun. And I bet that, you know, if you had little kids or whatever, that you could make these with your grandbabes or children or your own, you know, children, what have you. I think that they would be fantastic. So yeah, we've made it. We've done another Fodder Friday. If you guys have ideas for Fodder Friday, please put them below. You know, my brain can only store so many things. So I've got ideas, but I can always use more ideas. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to translate the way that they are in your head into mine. But we will give it a go. So I hope you guys had fun. And if you make these, please let me know. And I'll see you next time.